Welcome to the American History in a Nutshell, a podcast that talks about the importance of the English writers and their impact on today's literature. I'm your host, Alejandro, and I'm here with my partners Diane Ortiz and Santiago Diaz. Today, we'll be exploring the rich history of the black literature in America. To start off, let's talk about some of the most important and influential black writers on the American history, from Langston Hughes to Ralph Ellison. These writers have paved the way for generations of black authors to come. We'll also be discussing important topics like representation on literature and how black writers are changing the industry. So, join us to explore the world of black literature and celebrate the incredible contribution of black writers in America. Thanks for listening to American History in a Nutshell. So, to start, we're going to talk about the start of this black American literature. So, it started in the United States in the era of the Civil War because the President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, declared that the slavery is not abolished now in the United States. So, it allowed the black American people to start develop things that they are not allowed to do, like write. So let's start. And now we're going to talk about the eras of the most representative black American authors. So I'm going to leave on the hands of the expert who make the long research about this.
Okay, thank you, Alejandro, for introducing me. So, yeah, in the first place, we're going to talk about Langston Hughes, Countee Cullen, and Richard Wright, that were prominent African American writers who lived and worked during the early mid 20th century. So, basically, yeah, I'm going to tell you some similarities between them. So, basically, they all contribute to the African American identity. They used their writing as a platform for social and political commentary. Also, they were activists for the rights of the Black African American people. And also, they used the writing to inspire and mobilize their readers to take actions against social and political injustice. And then also they belong to a popular movement that was the Harlem Renaissance, that was between the 20s and the 30s. So basically, they tried to celebrate Black culture and art. And finally, we're going to talk about Jean Toomer and Countee Allen, that were two African American authors that basically they differed a little bit from the three authors that I mentioned, because they basically tried to talk about the beautifulness of life, and also they try to highlight what was to be an African American in the United States by that time. So now I'm going to introduce you with Santiago, that is another expert, and he's going to talk about the second era of these Black American authors.
Great. Something that I would like to tell about this era is that it's all about an identity. They want to plasm the whole life of the Afro American people. So, for example, I want to start with Gwendolyn Brooks, who was a poet, and his most famous, we could say, saga was Annie Allen. And with this, she wanted to express the daily basis of these people, wanted to show how tragic, how difficult it could be, but also uh, the beauty in it with the culture that they had in. Also, I want to talk about James Baldwin, who was really influential because of how he narrates different black people. For example, in Go Tell It by the Mountain, he expressed a lot of the daily basis with themes like sexuality and religion, expressing them from a first person view and how it could affect his whole environment. In this example, Harlem. And also I would like to note Ralph Ellison with The Invisible Man, who I think is really a really interesting example of using this metaphor of how black people were seen at that time like nothing, like people that were invisible to others.
Okay, thank you guys for your introduction. So, I want to hear your opinions about the following question. Taking into account the previous information that you provide, what do you think was the impact of these authors on today's literature?
Okay, so basically, I think that they use their writing in order to explore the Black American identity in the society of that time, and also they help to change some norms and laws that were by that time in United States, and also advocate for a social change. So I think that is the impact in not only in American literature but also in society.
Yes, I agree with you with that because thanks to all the different perspectives, we could see that there is they are that these people are not stuck on a general view, a stereotypical view, that they are just like normal people, that they are a lot different. And this also extrapolates to yeah the whole culture. For example, cinema, that now we are getting these stereotypes behind in order to show more perspectives of our world.
Yes, and actually, I think that it makes a great impact because there are many things that black people can share with us in the slavery ages because they can't talk and they have to be quiet always and they can't transcend their things or the main ideas that they have. The only way that they could do it was writing or maybe telling to someone because I think that it was hard to them talk about this and the literature of them now have many histories of the ages of the slavery, so I think that it could reflect this. And that's a wrap for today's episode of American History in a Nutshell. We hope you enjoy learning the rich history of black literature in America and hearing the impact of them in today's history. Remember, if you want to support black writers and their work, there are many ways to do. So, you can buy their books or share their work with others. Thanks for listening to the American Histories in a Nutshell. Be sure to tune very soon for another episode celebrating the history of English literature. Bye bye!